Call us, email us, tweet, or Facebook us. It isn't a conversation if we do all the talking.
We're back with Lloyd Robertson taking a look at his new paperback version of his memoir, The Kind of Life It's Been. Lloyd, you wrote that your worst day in the news business was December 6, 1989, and how the Montreal Massacre taught you, as a father of 4 daughters, never to be immune to the tragedies in the world. Explain that, what went down for you that day?
Well, for the first time, I felt something very personal, and I got very angry, and it was hard to control the emotions on air for the first time ever in my broadcasting career, because these young women were pursuing careers of their choice. They were engineering students in Montreal at École Polytechnique. And the man who went in there and shot them up was obviously a misogynist, but I mean, he hated all women, and he hated these women in particular because they were pursuing what he felt should be strictly male careers. And Nancy and I always said to our 4 girls, you know, go for your dream, you know, follow your bliss, whatever it is, whatever that may be. And when I was reading those bulletins that night, and those were days when we didn't have the kind of instant pictures we have now, but I got angrier and angrier as the night wore on, and I had to hold myself together.
You've seen a lot of changes in Canada. Women coming into our equal place in society would be one of them in the 60 years that you've seen. Let's go through where you've seen Canada change for the better and where you've seen Canada change for the worse.
Well, I think we're really a growing-up country now. We, all you have to do is walk the streets of Toronto, Montreal, any of the large cities, Calgary, to know that Canada has really changed. We're multicultural, we're multi-religious, and all of that, I think, is a very good thing because we're a big tent country. We've got room for a lot of people, and we have a philosophy that welcomes everybody, and that's a good thing. You said for the worse, well, I think that would apply, from the way I see it, that our politics has become more crass and more cruel. There are now the negative ads. In the United States, of course, they can't get together to agree on anything, it would seem. I mean, look what they've been through just over the last year. And, you know, we've lost the art of compromise, it seems, in politics. We've learned to hate the other guy and say bad things about him and look and wave their fingers at him.
And that's one of your biggest regrets, is that our political system, Ottawa, has become too acrimonious.
I think so, yes.
Okay, you have probably thanked God that you didn't get an appointment to the Senate, given what your good friends, Mike Duffy and Pamela Wallin, have been through. Does this scandal have the power to change the Senate as we know it and its future? And does it have the power to change the Conservative government? Or is this just, calm down, everybody, this too will blow over?
I think it does have the power, if the opportunity is grabbed, to change the Senate. I think that, you know, if as Hugh Segal, a Conservative senator who was on with us when we did an item on W5 on this very question, he is promoting the idea of a referendum on the Senate, a question perhaps in conjunction with the next election, which would say, what do you want to do about the Senate, in effect? Abolish it or make it an elected body? And I think this gives us, because Senate is so top of mind now, once we get through this crisis, in a couple of years, when things have settled down, maybe at election time in 2015, we could put a question on the ballot which deals with that very question. And I think we're ready for it now in Canada, because we have had enormous feedback on this story. I mean, Canadians are really angry about this.
Yeah. Okay, another institution-shaping story. I want to ask you about the church. When you began your career, it was a large part of the Canadian narrative. People related to how God might fit into this world. Why do you think it has been so diminished in this country over 60 years? Well,
I remember when I started broadcasting on CFRB every day, there was a moment at 12:59, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and a minister would come on and he would have the thought for the day, the devotional period for the day, and at the end of it he would say, "There is no other way." That is the Christian way. And that disappeared over a period of time. And I think it's because we became a more mixed society, and we realized that as a Big Ten country, we would have to be more inclusive. And I think that ultimately is good for all of us. It's good for us whether we're Christians, whether we're practicing Muslims, Jewish faith, no matter what it is. That's good for us.
All right. The church is learning to tell a story in a new way, and thank you for being part of it here on Context TV. It's been great to have you, Lloyd.
Thank you so much.
I got to ask one other question. If your voice was an octave higher, would we be having this conversation on your career of 60 years in broadcasting?
Probably not. The voice got me into it, got me started.
Okay, all right. When we return, a few thoughts on good news, and that's the original term for the message of Jesus. We'll find out how that might fit in the news cycle next.
We want you to be a part of our studio audience. If you're in the Toronto area, contact us. We've got some prime studio real estate all ready for you.
Today we looked at our dependence on story and the importance of the storyteller. The greatest story ever told is a marketing line for the gospel, and the gospel has been the most important idea in human history. And its impact has gotten bigger every year for over 2,000 years. A story that just doesn't die out or finish the news cycle. At the very beginning of it all, God gave us a storyteller to personify the news of the gospel, Jesus Christ. And the style and person delivering the story is so vital to the message. And God sent his son Jesus to earth to live out, speak the gospel message to us, and he's the anchor to the story for the ages. I'm trying to make my case here that in a world of information, how come it's so challenging to give attention to the storyteller, Jesus? What would happen if I put the greatest story of the gospel closer to the stories I live every moment, closer to my kids, my job, my lack of a job? What happens when we put Jesus closer to the problems our world is facing? And that's why Context TV always finds a way to say, what does the bigger story of Jesus mean to the other stories we're living in? I've got more on this on my blog and at the Context website, which is rich with links to the meaning of the greatest story ever told, the gospel. So for all of us at Context, I'm Lorna Duick. Thanks for watching. Join us next week as we explore life beyond the headlines.